How's it going, Eliminators? Today I'm going to be showing you how to easily fix a very uncommon no spark or intermittent spark issue on some of the older Tecumseh HMSK80 or 100 snowblower engines. This issue has only happened to me twice, but today I just want to take you through what exactly is happening and how easy it is to fix this issue, because it can be very easily overlooked if you've never had it happen to you before. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So in the shop today, I have this older Craftsman 25-inch snowblower with a Tecumseh HMSK80 engine. Now this snowblower came into the shop for a complete service and the work has already been completed. Basically, today's video is going to be an overview of this very uncommon issue that causes one of these engines to lose spark completely, or the spark will become intermittent, where sometimes you could have spark and other times you may not have any spark. Now, before we get into how to fix that, I just want to briefly go over this. My customer said they had some old gas left in this snowblower here and that it had sat for about a year or two. So we immediately pulled the carburetor, because 9 out of 10 times you're going to have a gummed up carburetor. In order to remove the carburetor here, you have to remove these carburetor covers. This is a metal cover here designed to trap heat from the engine in and around the carburetor there. And on these older Craftsmans, you guys can see they're using like Robinson screws. You can also see that this is like a multi-part one, so I'm not sure if this snowblower came with this particular design of muffler and cover. This cover could have been fabricated up. You guys can see there's various different pieces overlaying one another. So as I would normally do with the cover off, we sprayed a little bit of carb cleaner into the carburetor, pulled on the recoil pull start, and this thing fired up and then shut off. So right away we knew it had spark, it had compression, it needed a carburetor clean and rebuild. So that's been done. The oil on this unit has been changed, all of the pivot points, everything else has been lubricated, and the gearbox has some 00 grease added into it. So fast forward, and this thing's running like a top. I tuned the carburetor. If you guys want to see how I do that, I'll post the link in the top right of your screen. And after all that work was done, like I said, this thing was running like a top. I go to reinstall this metal cover, and all of a sudden, right before I go to deliver it to the customer, I pull on the recoil pull start. The engine will not start. What's going on? So the first thing I do, I check for spark, just to see if we have an intermittent spark issue. Sure enough, no spark on this machine whatsoever. Now, in some of these older snowblower engines, you may have a points and condenser style ignition. You may have a solid state ignition coil. You may have an issue with the magnets on the flywheel coming off. All sorts of issues that would require the cover being removed from the engine, and you'd have to dig into what exactly was causing your no spark. However, I knew that this engine did run, so I started looking for simple solutions to the problem. The first thing we can look at here is this unit did have a key switch at some point. So there would have been a key switch that went into this groove, and you would have been able to shut the engine off with the flip of a key switch there. That has been removed, as well as the wiring that goes along with that key switch. So that was not the issue. Next up, this engine does not have the throttle lever down there. Instead, it has the throttle lever up on the handle here. As much as I work on these pieces of equipment, guys, sometimes I go to pull start an engine and forget to throttle the engine up. So with this handle all the way back to the shutoff position, there is a little coil grounding switch down there. So it'll ground out the coil. You won't get any spark. This time, this was all the way throttled up. Tried to pull it over, wouldn't start. Next up, these little key switches here. So this is just a simple grounding switch as well. There's two little metal tabs in there. One side connects to the carburetor cover, which is going to connect to your ground. And then the other one goes back into the wiring that goes back to the ignition module underneath the flywheel cover here, so that when you pull out this plastic non-conductive switch here, the tabs close, connecting the ground, thus grounding your ignition module underneath the flywheel cover there, and that also stops the spark. So you can completely disconnect these if you want, but we checked this one and it was operational, so that was also not the issue. Now, I told you guys that this was a very simple issue and a very simple fix, but it is very uncommon. This is the second time in all of my years that I've been doing small engine repair that this issue has ever happened to me. So underneath this carburetor cover, I'm going to overlay a video on screen. You're going to notice how the throttle mechanism works. When you lower that throttle lever, whether it's the one with the handle on the engine or up on the console near the handlebars, that metal lever engages that little shut-off switch. Again, that's what grounds out your coil. Okay, so I'm laying down now to get you guys a better shot. There's going to be 3 different pieces to this shutoff switch. There's going to be the wire down below, and that's going to run back to your ignition module. You're going to have normally a piece of plastic in the center, and that piece of plastic is what snaps into the flywheel cover. And then up top, you're going to have that little piece of metal, and that is what the throttle engages when you lower it down. So right now you're going to see I'm throttling the engine down. Check it out. Okay, now it's grounding, right? So we've throttled the engine down. You want to shut it off, and as soon as that throttle lever touches that little metal there, it grounds out. So again, we had this throttled up. We should have had spark, right? Well, the issue here is that this right here, this metal cover, it was slightly bent in to the point where you see that it was touching that metal tab, creating a no spark issue. So again, after I fully serviced this unit, had the carb cleaned and rebuilt, no spark. So this is one of the things that I look for now on this older equipment. This is a super simple fix, and all you have to do is come down to this metal cover and bend it out just a little bit, and that's it. Now it doesn't touch that piece of metal, and it will not ground out your ignition module. Now, if you guys didn't want to remove the cover to notch it out, you could do what I'm doing, which is taking a pair of adjustable channel lock pliers here, and you're just going to bend the corner of this cover out just a little bit. Again, we don't want to bend it out too much because you still need the operation of your choke knob here, which you could see is still fully operational. But now, even if this cover kind of gets a little deformed, that corner won't be anywhere near that shutoff switch. So once again, coming down below, I will throttle the engine down. Even with that little piece of metal pushing out, it's not going to hit the panel. And in the run position, even if we push on this, you guys are going to see it's nowhere near that shutoff switch now. And just like that, you've fixed your no spark issue. So quick little fix today. My customer can still pull the key. There won't be any spark at all, or throttle it down here at the console and the throttle lever will engage that piece of metal there, again grounding out the coil, shutting off the engine that way. So with that being said, take this thing outside, fire it up, let you guys hear how it sounds before we wrap up the video. All right, so we got it outside. Let's hear how this thing fires up. Got it throttled up. Removable key switch is in. It's been in the garage, so it is fairly warm in there. Probably don't need to choke it. See that, guys? It's a head scratcher, but it's an easy enough fix. Bend that little corner out, problem solved. Well, that's going to wrap up today's video. Like I said, easy enough repair. Just bend that panel out a little bit so that the ignition module is no longer being grounded out by the metal carburetor cover. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, think about leaving me a thumbs up. You know, it really helps me out. You can click here to subscribe and click over here to watch one of my previous videos. I upload every single week, so be sure to stop on by next week, check channel out for new content. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.